Welcome to Not So Silent. We'll say what you can't. We think we're right. I wouldn't bet on it. Wondering why we're here on Monday? Well, it's because the biggest feedback we've been getting from you guys is you want more. So we are going to start doing 2 days a week. So thank you for all that feedback. We are booming. That's a credit to you guys. It's a social experiment. As many of you know, I don't have any social media, but you guys do, and you are sending it out through it. We're seeing if we can explode without the use of my social media. And so far we are, so thank you. If you're on YouTube watching this, please look down below the little video. There's a subscribe button. Click subscribe. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, follow us or subscribe. And please, please, please do me the favor. Right now, hit pause and share this with every person and then start it back up. On today's show, we're going to be going over the NFL and their opening week 1 and their response to social justice and ending racism. Did they get it right? We have a little bit of a conspiracy alert. Trump and his peace in the Middle East. The Mueller team wiping phones. How do you feel about that? And we're going to talk a little bit about September 11th. So today's show is brought to you by Six Kids Construction. Six Kids Construction specializes in interior and exterior house painting. Please do me a favor and go to Six Kids Construction if you're in the St. Louis area and you're thinking about getting an interior or exterior paint job. Look them up. Get a free estimate now. So I'm joined today with Sean Phelps in Kansas City and Chris Hertigan in St. Louis. I am still in Chicago, at least for the time being, until they shut us down completely. All right, gentlemen, let's rock and roll. So the NFL, this was week 1 for the NFL, and along with Major League Baseball, basketball, NHL, they all had to decide how they wanted to respond to social justice. Do you think they got it right? Did you guys watch any of it?
Sean?
I didn't watch any of it, guys. I was busy this weekend. Normally, I'm a pretty diehard NFL fan, but I don't know if it was the social justice stuff or just COVID and no preseason. I just wasn't ready for week 1 this week.
All right. Chris.
I had the channel on, and the pregame stuff was so obnoxious, so anti-police, systemic violence, defund that I turned it off. I did watch some of the afternoon game. It was okay, but it's just one of those things where I intended to watch, but the pregame bummed me out. I didn't even get to the in-game ceremony.
Well, that's the thing. Ironically, as I watched, because I watched a lot of it, and my excuse, even though I said I was not going to watch the NFL at all, I did it for you guys, everyone listening, because I felt like I needed to comment on it. That was my excuse, at least. So I did. I watched the Thursday night game, the Chiefs-Texans game, and then I watched a little bit on Sunday. And I made sure to tune into the pregame, knowing that the pregame was where we were going to see it the most. So here was the NFL's response. The NFL decided to go relatively woke. Some things that they did in the opening game, they had a video montage that basically showed the protests. It did not, however, include the riots and the looting, but it did show the protests and and the Chiefs on their video board had a few things. And then they did their sign of unity, the Texans and the Chiefs, arm in arm. They also played the Black National Anthem, which I didn't know there was a Black National Anthem, but not now we do. So there's a Black National Anthem. However, in none of the games did I see it actually televised. And then the national anthem for the opening game was sung by 2 women who were wearing shirts, one with George Floyd, and I think the other one was Breonna Taylor, painted on their shirts or whatever. At the NFL games, by and large, people stood for the anthem. However, in just about every game, there was some people kneeling. I thought interesting. Here's one. I don't know if you guys saw this. The Colts game, every person stood except for the Indianapolis Colts coach, Frank Reich, knelt for it, which I thought was pretty ironic or weird. And then on top of it, I don't know if you guys saw this, the Baltimore Ravens stood for the Black National Anthem, knelt for the actual national anthem. So what are your thoughts on all this?
So I don't know the story behind Frank Reich. I'm going to guess. I don't know what he said about why he did that. I'm going to guess he said, hey, I did it, so none of my players would have to. And then, I did it in honor of some of my players, but that way they're protected from any, people wanting to hurt them or, dislike them because of it. Is that what he said?
Frank Reich sent a powerful message. It was his way of sending a message that he was there for his team. He didn't say that he was doing it for his players, but he was acknowledging white privilege.
Go ahead, Sean.
No, you go, Chris.
First coach, right?
What'd you say?
This is the first coach in major sports to do this, right?
No, I believe there are plenty of NBA coaches who have.
Okay, so I'm trying to be objective and go, if I'm the NFL, if I'm running a business, is this the right move to make? Should I pander for a week and then let it go back to normal? The rumor I'm hearing is it's just a 1 week thing. They're not going to keep doing this. Maybe people will quickly forget. My understanding is the ratings dropped about 30% from opening weekend last year, so the ratings did take a nosedive. I don't know what I'd do in that business situation. I think we've shown that people that stand up to the woke media do just fine. But the more you give into them, the more they want. They're never satisfied. And again, I don't know if we want to go down the rabbit hole of look, what happened to Breonna Taylor is bad, but there was nothing criminal done by the police officers. They were shot at. They shot back. She was caught in friendly fire. It's tragic, but the police officers are not going to get charged with anything in that case. You have more riots that just broke out in Pennsylvania from a guy who was lunging at a police officer with a knife, and he got shot. People rioted over that. You've got Biden, and Kamala Harris saying they're proud of Jacob Blake, a alleged rapist who is digitally raping a woman. That's why the police were called, and they're going and saying, we're proud of you. If this is what the NFL wants to align themselves with, I'm not into that. And the second I think I'm out of football, I watched my fantasy lineups, but I didn't really miss the games that much. And when I heard how bad the Bears were, I really didn't miss it. I know they won, but I heard it was ugly.
Yeah, it was. And interesting you say that is the CNN, you said, they won't go far enough. CNN in an article said the NFL didn't go far enough. And luckily, Colin Kaepernick has also commented on this. So I'm big fan of Colin Kaepernick. He has commented on this, and he said the NFL did a horrible job. And I guess I'm just trying to figure that he says the NFL has to bring back Eric Reed, or else they are just continuing to go down this path. I just think it's obnoxious how the NFL is, as you call it, pandering. I just don't get it, because from a business standpoint, I don't understand why you would ever alienate half of your fans. I thought some of the things the NFL did were really smart. The names on the helmets I thought was hilarious, because I don't know if you guys saw it, but they went into Microsoft Word and they changed the font from 12 down to 4. They did the opposite of what you do when you're trying to write your 2-page paper and get it done the easiest. They made them really small, so they're very hard to read, which I think was a way of appeasing the players, but not really putting it in your face. They also, on their field, they put, it takes all of us to end racism. Well, great. End racism. I don't think anyone can get mad at a statement like end racism. Whereas the NBA on their courts have put Black Lives Matter, which, again, knowing, semantics, could mean the group, could just mean Black human beings matter. And I think a lot of people get pretty frustrated with that statement. It's a pretty divisive statement, in our country right now. And ironically, Clay Travis, who's got a pretty strong finger on the pulse of the sports media and so on, his viewers, who tend to be of the type who don't like the political gestures, felt like the NFL did it okay. To me, that was a sign that we have been beaten down, because whatever it was, 2 or 3 years ago, Kaepernick takes a knee and there was an uproar and ratings dropped. And it was one guy taking a knee, or I guess 2, Eric Reed went with him. And we were like, we're turning this off if they show it. Now, all of a sudden, you have full team demonstrations, teams that didn't come out for the anthem, teams where a coach knelt, multiple players. I watched the Bears-Lions game and I saw at least a handful of players on both teams kneeling, a few players with their fists raised in kind of a Black Lives Matter movement thing. I don't know. I thought in some regards, the NFL did right. They did better than the NBA, but I just don't get why there isn't a league that's going to say, look, guys, we're not going to be political. You guys can do whatever you want when you're not at work, when you're not in uniform. Just like there was a guy in a grocery store in North Carolina, retired war veteran. He was about a 75-year-old, 80-year-old guy working. He had a mask on, and it was an American flag mask, and he was told he had to take it off because the American flag was a symbol, and you couldn't have any symbol or writing or anything on your mask, which he quit because of it. He's a nice guy, but he just said, I can't work in a place where I can't wear the American flag. So you can do that. I don't know. I think the NFL, again, they should have just stood up and said nothing at work, maybe even gotten rid of the anthem altogether and said, look, we're just not going to do anything. We're going to play football, and that's it. I do know CBS did give a directive to their broadcasters to not state anything political. All they're to do is if they wanted to say the facts, that's fine, and call the game. They wanted to really try hard to stay out of the fray from either side, which I thought was the wiser thing to do.
Why don't we prognosticate early, and let's talk about, okay, so if the ratings are 30% below last year's same weekend numbers, what do you guys think about next weekend? Over under 20% down from second weekend's numbers. What do you want to say?
I think they will be down more than that, or whatever. They will still be significantly down. I don't know the exact numbers. They will be down.
They're going to bounce back.
I'm taking the over. Sean's got the under. Two of us are over. We're definitely right. I think that America is craving some sort of authenticity, somebody with a spine, somebody that has some sort of set of standards that they're going to stick by.
Chris, time out. Didn't we make a bet last week?
Shit.
Oh, yeah. Chris, get that shirt off for you YouTube viewers. You're welcome.
Right. Reminded me.
Oh, God. I totally forgot about that.
I think he needs to be further back. So
yeah, I think the rest of this podcast, we're going to go solo layout. I want to make sure everybody can still hear me and Taylor.
Oh, come on. Really?
Can everybody still hear?
That's a better shot, man. That makes the shoulders look better. You're getting the best parts of me. If you get anything below the chest, it's no bueno.
It's too bad we don't control his actual camera and we can move it down. I thought, if I'm not mistaken,
give the people what they want. Give them what they want. How about the wave?
All right. Well, there go the viewers. All right. So now we'll just talk amongst ourselves because everyone just left. And if you're listening on podcast or on Spotify, you should head over to YouTube to check out.
We just had a spike in 40 to 55-year-old men jumping on the podcast. I don't know if that's proud, but.
So again, I agree with Chris. I think you're going to lose ratings. And Sean, you made a pretty interesting comment. I think part of the reason why people are leaving is because they weren't ready. They weren't excited about it. There's I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the 21-90 rule, where they say it takes 21 days to develop a habit and 90 for a lifestyle change. And I think in many ways, I know for myself, the lifestyle change, sports was out of our lives for so long. And now I was craving to have it back. But at the same time, if you're going to bring it back and it's going to come back looking the way it has, I don't care. I'll tell you, the NBA, I won't turn on a game. And I know many, many people who feel the exact same way. They have gone so far overboard with just being lectured and at a political rally that it's just not worth watching the game.
Well, we want entertainment and we want an escape from reality, which a lot of people make this mention. The things I do to escape from reality now is I listen to and I watch people that have a viewpoint that they stand up for and they don't budge on, because you don't find that anywhere. And that's the only form of entertainment I can find, is just somebody who doesn't budge on their stance, that is not a moral relativist. If all ideas are equal, then no idea has value. It's just not true. So we've got to find our moral compass again. And in the meantime, bye-bye football.
And bye-bye football. All right. So speaking of moral compass, the Mueller team, who investigated Trump and the whole Russia conspiracy. I'm curious what Sean's take on this. Sean wants to sit on the fence quite a bit politically. What's your take, Sean? What do you say to the Mueller team, who were the investigators, supposedly bipartisan or nonpartisan investigators of Trump and the Russia collusion that was proven to not happen. And now they're being investigated, and 29 cell phones of people in the Mueller investigation have been wiped in some way, shape, or form. They've said they were either lost, that they couldn't get their passwords in there multiple times, and so the phone was completely wiped. I don't know why they didn't just pour bleach on all of these cell phones, but 29 of the phones.
Who is that helping?
Again, the whole point is the Mueller team, who probably had some very sensitive stuff on these, was now being investigated to see, did they actually, were they doing a worthy nonpartisan investigation? So they wanted to collect all of these cell phones to see their communications back and forth, who they were speaking to, and so on. And 29 of the phones were wiped. I think it's hilarious, kind of connecting it here with sports. Tom Brady is widely regarded. Many people talk about Deflategate, and the thing was his one cell phone had gotten wiped or destroyed, and everyone, oh my gosh, he clearly did that on purpose. 29 phones. I mean,
you're talking about an investigation that was based off of absolute crap evidence. The Steele dossier has been, or dossier, I don't know how to really pronounce it. We're not that kind of a podcast. This was a hit job done, I should say allowed by the Obama administration, done with no evidence. They drummed up evidence for it, and it was a completely unfounded investigation to begin with. And so the Spygate has kind of really gotten swept under the rug a bit, but the DOJ is following up on it, and heads are going to roll, I think.
So who is, I don't understand the beneficiary of this. Are the people saying, oh, those phones were wiped because somebody on the left was trying to make this investigation go through, and they still couldn't?
Covering their ass.
A
mass text went out that said, delete the shit on your phone because we're in trouble. There's a subpoena. They're going to look at our stuff, and we're all screwed.
I mean, Sean, who was the beneficiary of Tom Brady's phone being wiped? We don't know. We don't know what was on the phone, but we do know Tom Brady was, more or less plausible deniability because we had no proof, right?
In Tom Brady's case, I would give him the benefit of the doubt going, maybe he knew his phone was going to need to get looked at for this investigation, and he wiped it because there were other things on there that he didn't want anyone seeing.
Okay, and we have 29 of those cases. 29 people in the Mueller investigation, which was widely thought of as an investigation from the right, but it's supposed to be nonpartisan. And 29 phones have been wiped, and their excuses are outrageous. I've owned a cell phone for 20 years. I have never in 20 years had my phone completely wiped unless I chose to do it. And there are 29 of these that all happen.
I mean, because the investigation came out clearing Trump, wouldn't you assume that's from somebody on his side communicating with these people going, hey, make sure you know this, and make sure this doesn't get out, and make sure this, we got to make sure.
Why don't you ask people who are more follow the left, ask them if they think that the Mueller thing proved that there's no Russian conspiracy. The left still thinks there is. I mean, to me, this is absurd. I can't believe more people aren't like, oh my gosh, this is out of control. 29 cell phones got wiped. This is crazy to me. This isn't like accidental. This blows my mind. So moving on. How about Donald Trump being twice now nominated? Twice he has been nominated in the last month for the Nobel Peace Prize.
I thought it was the Nobel Peace Prize. I saw that on one of his campaign ads.
Did he say it wrong?
They spelled it wrong, yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
he hasn't been nominated enough times is the only problem with this.
What I think they did was they went, look at our demographic. We A/B tested the ads, and if we spell it correctly, a lot of people are going to think we spelled it wrong. So we got to, run both ads.
Are you saying Chris is stupid?
Shut up. There's no topic for debate here. Trump is doing what Trump said he's going to do. He's getting in there and he's just doing work. And when the Democrats get out of his way, he's slinging deals, making peace treaties. Like, get out of his way, work with him, or just leave. But this is just Trump doing what Trump does.
Yeah, and again, I'm not trying to say. I do think it's funny. Trump, who's thought of as, with his Twitter feed, can be not exactly the nicest person in the world. At the same time, from the Nobel Peace Prize The man has now brokered 2 deals in the Middle East, UAE and just recently Bahrain. Yeah, I think did I say that right, Chris? Bahrain, Kamala, I can't say that. So Bahrain, and also with Kosovo. So he has dealt with a lot of, in the Baltic states and in the Middle East, peace brokering, which is incredible, and hasn't been done since 1994 from a U.S. president. And we, for a long time been talking about peace in the Middle East, and he's actually starting to broker it. Why wouldn't he get it? But, and here comes the mainstream media, The Atlantic has called for the Nobel Prize to be canceled. They say the Nobel Prize should be canceled. Nobel Peace Prize should be canceled.
I saw a tweet that said, Trump could save a kid from a shark attack, and the left would say that he's starving the fish,
Is that serious or satire? I'm guessing serious.
Touch of both.
All right.
He's had an interesting way of doing it. I mean, to get us out of the wars, huge credit. We're a lot better off than we were in the Middle East several years ago. And somehow did that while massively increasing defense spending. So he's been able to keep the military branches happy by giving them massive budgets while letting them stay home. So
what a libertarian. Let the man spend his money on our defense.
Cut that budget.
All right. Well, there's part of me that can agree with that. All right. So last thing, I think it's important that we do this. I think it's pretty interesting. So we just passed, Friday was 9/11. And sadly, I had to think this way. When I thought back to the time of 9/11 and how our country was almost 20 years ago, so 19 years ago, I was thinking, as I was talking to a friend of mine, and as our country is now, and some of the arguments we're having about racism and systemic racism, which I still have yet to be told a legit system that is racist, not racist people, but system that's racist, but systemic racism, all this stuff that we talk about in our country. And I feel like it's almost like our country has been too safe, and it's been too long since 9/11 happened, and we forgot what it was like as a country to band together and to, the way we were in the aftermath of 9/11, and the way, in many ways, we were completely unified against ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and all that stuff. And I don't know, it's been 20 years, but I wanted to think back to and I would hate to have another event like that that's going to make us come together and reunify our country. But 9/11, where were you when that happened? Do you remember it?
Chris.
Go ahead, Sean. Oh, okay, I'll go. Yeah, I was in Spanish class, the discussion section, and a girl came in and said something like, "We can't have class right now, a plane's flying into a building," and I really knew what she was talking about. And then, I got back to my fraternity, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, I think somebody's some foreign countries attacking us or something." And he's hung over, and he just rolled over and said, "Take cover." I had no idea what was going on. But yeah, I do remember then going to the Union and seeing the footage and going, "Oh, this is a thing."
Yeah, I was in my apartment. I was still sleeping because I was a college student, and my roommate woke me up after the first tower was hit. And it was one of those, you'll never forget it, right? He woke me up and he said, "Hey, a plane just hit the World Trade Center." And at first we were like, "Oh, that's crazy. I can't believe a plane accidentally flew into a building like that." Didn't really think a lot of it at first because I was just waking up, and I think I was too young to really, I was 21 years old, too young to really understand the ramifications. But I woke up, came outside, we popped on the TV. That's when the second one was hit, and that's when it sunk in. It was like, holy cow, this is like the real deal. We're under attack. This was crazy. What about you, Sean?
Yes, I was in high school. And what was really memorable was after 9/11. So I think all of sports got canceled for about a week. And so the first Monday night football game after September 11th was September 24th. It was in Green Bay. And it was the Washington football team. They used to be called the Redskins. And they were playing the Packers in Green Bay. And somehow my dad got tickets to the game. And I think it was maybe me and my dad, or it might have been my dad and I and my cousin Matt. And so it was the first game, massive security going into the game. Everyone thought, there's bomb sniffing dogs everywhere. There's military personnel everywhere, metal detectors everywhere. Because people thought big events like this are coming next, right? This wasn't just a one-time attack. And every single person had a flag in the stadium. And then the Packers had a special teamer, middle linebacker named Chris Gizzy, who played for Air Force in college. And he grabbed a giant flag that a human being should not be able to carry, and carried it all the way across the stadium, went into both corners of each end zone, spun the flag around. The crowd was absolutely going nuts. Everybody was crying. Everybody stood for the national anthem, and planes flew over. And it was an incredibly emotional experience. The crowd started chanting USA, USA, and it went on for, it seemed like, until kickoff, maybe even into the game a couple of times. And then the Packers also won 37-0. So
all right. So enough of trying to squeeze in some Packer propaganda into this podcast. But needless to say, we remember back when all the chants were USA, people stood for the anthem, and we were all 100% proud of the country we lived in, not where we had to read the media that told us how bad our country is. But wonderful. All right, so let's get on to some fun stuff. Sports updates. I told you I'm not doing any fantasy football. Well, I think that was a little bit of a lie. Well, it's not. I'm not, but I am somehow involved in 4 fantasy football teams, just not my own. My kids are doing them. So I got to follow fantasy football. Big surprises this weekend in fantasy. Chris.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, rookie running back in the first round. What a joke. Nobody takes a rookie running back in the first round. This guy's not Saquon. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
A rock star.
How about that? I'll say Cam Newton. Cam Newton's for real. I think he's for real. He's playing with Belichick and he looks healthy. That was exciting to see that. And Tom Brady looks 40 years old. Sean.
I got a surprise waiver pickup recommendation for everybody out of my hometown of Rockford, Illinois. Undrafted Jaguars running back James Robinson had a great best first NFL game for an undrafted running back ever.
He's on one of my teams. I drafted him in Dynasty. Yeah, he did well for me. About 9 points, but still good. Promising. Good for him.
All right. So what are your guys' thoughts on the NCAA? I look at the top 25 rankings, and it's almost comical because without the Big Ten playing and without the Pac-12 playing, you just eliminated 40% of the power conferences. And so when you look at the top,
how many teams with an 0-1 record are on there?
I know, right? It's like, this is stupid. You're like, Memphis is on there, and I didn't know they were still playing football at Memphis. It's like Louisiana made it on there because they beat Iowa State. Iowa State sucks. And
six of the top 10 don't have a win yet, and we've been playing football.
I know, for a couple of weeks. I find the rankings to almost be a joke at this
Army's
point.
On the top 25 just because they're 2-0. I think they're the only team that's played 2 games.
They are pretty good.
Who, Army?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yes, they're good when you compare them to Navy and Air Force. But I mean, I don't know if they're a top 25 team, and certainly would not be ranked anything better than like 23 if the Big Ten plays. So let's do Prognostication Station first, because that's a good transition to the Big Ten. Have you guys heard what's going on? The Big Ten, and a lot of people listening, because we're all kind of in the Big Ten area, or at least used to live there. The Big Ten is set to vote, or is expected to vote, in the next 48 hours to resume play potentially in mid-October, which would allow for a 9-game conference schedule and have the Big Ten Conference Championship on December 19th. Therefore, they would be able to make it into the playoff committee December 20th. So, does the Big Ten overturn their ruling and allow football to happen in the fall?
100%. Once, was it Nebraska? The Attorney General of, I think it was Nebraska.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, yeah. That was a lovely letter. Yeah, once the lawsuits start, things start changing. Yeah, they're going to play.
The Attorney General
would be voting again if they weren't going to overturn it.
That's what many people have said, is they won't even go to a vote if they're not going to. However, they met yesterday, and some people did think yesterday there was going to be a vote, and there wasn't. Meaning they got together, and maybe they haven't secured the votes. I believe by the bylaws, they have to have 9 teams approving it out of the 14. And when they last voted, there was only 3 that did. So they were missing 6 votes. And so they have to get up 6 more votes, and then they would start. So Sean, yes or no?
Yep.
And I will say yes, too. I think the Big Ten plays, and for many of us, that's exciting. If you went to Michigan State University and you just bleed the green and white, you are super excited to see them come out and play, even though Michigan State hasn't really been relevant in football in a while. And do not bring up the Hail Mary to beat Wisconsin from a few years ago. But if you live in Wisconsin and you want to watch the Badgers, I'm sure you're excited. If you live in Illinois, you forgot that U of I does have a football team and they might be playing. And obviously, if you're an Ohio State fan or a Michigan fan or a Penn State fan, you're probably jacked because they will be ranked as well as Wisconsin in the top 25.
Tack on to my prognostication, Taylor. If they had enough votes yesterday, they just would have gone ahead and done it. So what they're going to do is they're going to open back up with a couple teams not included. That's my prognostication.
Oh, so you think it's going to be the Big Ten. However, there will be a few teams opting out.
Yes.
So I don't know if any of you guys saw this. Notre Dame played. This blew my mind. How pissed would you be if you're in Indiana or Iowa? Iowa, right? Iowa State played. Iowa didn't. If you're in Indiana and Notre Dame is playing and had fans in the stadium, but you go to IU or Purdue and you can't play. I mean, you've just got to be pissed. So I think it is going to go through. Sean, I don't know I believe all 14 teams will be playing. And, I forgot, Rutgers and Maryland. I didn't even realize those teams were part of the Big Ten. But, yes, they could play too.
Yep.
All right, so last prognostication, and we won't do a bet around this one, but we will do some betting for Monday night tonight, or at least take a side. There are 2 Monday night football games. We got Steelers laying 6 points at the Giants.
Steelers.
So you think
I'll lay the points?
Are going to win? All right, you'll give the points, and
Ben's
I will
healthy,
go.
yeah.
I can see Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley showing people that they're the real deal tonight and pulling out a win. But if I've got to put money on it, I'm taking the Steelers.
All right, I am taking the Giants. I'll take the points. All right, Tennessee is laying 3 at Denver.
Tennessee.
I'm taking the home dog.
I will take the home dog as well.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee is going to have a bad season.
Give me the altitude, and the points.
All right, so I got both home dogs. All right, and we will soon. Hey, just for those of you listening who are like, why don't you prognosticate about Trump versus Biden? Well, we will. We'll get there. So we'll get to presidential stuff in a bit. All right, so serious or satire? I will go first because Chris, you have some fun ones too, right?
Ooh, okay, yeah, I do.
All right, I did my research. I got some good articles, and I'm curious if you guys can guess what they are.
You got to keep a tally on who's right and wrong about these. I want to know the leaderboard at some point.
I know, right? All right, Disney, and all you at home, you can play along. Disney editing blunder. The Uyghur concentration camp can clearly be seen in the background of Mulan.
Satire.
Serious.
That is satire.
Yeah.
All right. I thought that one was pretty good. All right. Carol Baskin is unhappy that Nicolas Cage is playing Joe Exotic.
Serious? First of all, is he really playing Joe Exotic? Is that even serious? Because I don't care if I'm right or wrong. That's amazing if that's
serious.
That is serious. Hang on.
Wicker Man.
My favorite part about this is actually reading the article. Carol admits she will find it difficult to watch Cage's films again after he plays Joe. A disappointment for her as she is a huge fan of the Con Air actor.
God, her credibility just jumped a lot for me. Maybe she didn't kill her husband.
Let me add to it. Discussing Cage's involvement in the movie, she said, he is such a favorite actor of mine, and I just don't know if I can even watch him after seeing that role. However, Carol is pleased she will be portrayed by Tara Reid in the film. Really?
You're kidding me. Tara Reid's back? Somebody's giving her a job?
This is according
She
to.
does look pretty haggard. Maybe she is a good Carol Baskin.
Yeah, hopefully she put on 150 pounds. All right, so that one was serious. All right. Transsexual Satanist anarchist wins GOP nomination for sheriff in New Hampshire County.
My God, please be satire.
That's gotta be satire.
Please be satire. Satire.
This is why I like it so much. That is serious.
It's gotta be satire. It's
quit.
definitely a Democrat.
I quit. Talk about moving the needle. Good Lord.
Transsexual Satanist anarchist wins the GOP nomination.
Must be a fiscal conservative, is my guess.
That one was serious. And last but not least,
An elephant wins a race for like the best looking mouse. It's like, I don't even understand how that's possible. How do you even, again, it must be socially liberal, fiscally conservative. I don't know.
All right. Last but not least, Florida woman.
Yes.
Serious.
I had to start with that. Florida woman arrested for test driving toy at adult superstore without paying.
Serious.
Completely serious.
Yeah.
That wasn't even hard.
Now it's worth more.
When she was confronted by the police, she dropped the toy.
Was she holding it with her hands? She just unkeggle and
Shot by the police with several loads.
Oh, nice.
All right, Chris.
They didn't have to put her in handcuffs. She was already in them. It's perfect. Okay. I'll never look at a Hello Kitty the same way again. That's a weird, yeah. All right. So we've got some conservative people looking into the backgrounds of these Antifa members. This is not going to surprise you, but one of them has a YouTube video of doing what's called the poop or pudding challenge, where basically somebody's always feeding them poop, but they eat poop.
Satire.
Wait, that was an Odell Beckham thing, right?
This is one of the Antifa members.
Oh, I thought Odell Beckham did that.
He is into poop. Yes, that is definitely.
I say satire.
I think it's satire. I think you found an Odell Beckham article and you changed it.
It is satire. Although I did not look up the Odell Beckham thing. I'm not used to looking up scatological type things. But Phelps, you can own that category next time. All right. My next one is this is in England. A mother of two celebrates her first anniversary of being married to a tree.
No, satire.
Serious.
Satire.
Oh.
Change her last name to Elder, the type of tree as well.
Oh.
So quick, top 5 puns you can think of for a woman married to a tree.
Oh, she gets wood every night.
Yeah, there's a good one. Okay.
Oh, well done.
She says the marriage is looking good, but the tree said it's definitely going to leave her.
Got it.
I'm just going out on a limb.
They refuse to get a dog. There's already too much bark.
Oh, good. All right, so move on.
Hold on. Wait. That's what I call tying the knot, the wooden knot. And way to prop up the patriarchy.
All right.
Yes.
Well, that's the best one yet.
Yes. Okay, now we can move on. You move on when I say you can move on. It's pun time. Nobody cuts off pun time.
Do you have any more?
Treadmill. She's so disappointed. She's like, "What do you even work? You're shirtless in the basement." I'm like, "You've caught me doing worse." Slamming a monster, live streaming with 2 dudes, and I have my shirt off. Except I'm not making money with this video. Sure, you're the type of guy that'd be watching me too, ironically.
All right. All right. So we're on to our top 5. All right. So this week in just to kind of follow the theme that the Washington Redskins have started, the Washington football team. I don't want to get
Taylor, real quick.
Yeah. Yes.
Chris, I think that woman's husband is going to leave her.
Didn't I? You know I said that one, right? You know I said that exact pun, right? Did you not hear that exact pun that I said?
Wasn't
What the hell's
listening.
wrong with
Go
you?
ahead.
Sean, your timing is fantastic. So our top 5 this week, we're going to do the top 5 mascots.
Just wish
Top
his
5
sister on a happy
mascots.
first birthday just now. Happy first birthday, son.
Top 5 mascots of all time. And this is in the wake of Washington getting rid of their mascot. We are going to do the top 5 mascots of all time. All right. So we will do, we're going to do a snake draft. So we will go Sean, Taylor, Chris, then Chris, Taylor, Sean, and so on.
For just a cool name that you'd never be able to pronounce or spell, and for whooping up on KU, Coastal Carolina's Chauncey the Chanticleer.
Is that how you say it? Chanticleer?
The Chanticleer.
That sounds like a client who never puts down a deposit for a job.
The Chanticleer. It is a prideful rooster that dominates the barnyard.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Racist, but okay.
All right. So we got my number 5 for 2 of us on the show, harken back to when we were in college. And I never really cared too much about U of I, but at the same time, sad to see Chief Alinowick being retired and taken away. I never understood why it wasn't an honor to have the Native American people honored by a school or a team. Redskins, I get, is a little bit of a nasty term, but Chief Alinowick taken away from the University of Illinois Fighting Illini.
If you asked the people of the tribe, they loved it. It was the woke liberals who took it away. In fact, I had a guy in my house that was the, what do you call the understudy, whatever, for Chief Alinowick. So he's the backup in case that guy was sick. It is like legit training they do for it. It's like very, very cool stuff. But anyway, I digress.
That's my number 5.
My mascots, everybody will know by just a very simple catchphrase. My number 5 is, it's a me. Who's that? It's a me. Mario. You serious?
So when you say
wait,
Mario, Nintendo's mascot.
I thought
Great
about
mascot.
it. I thought about it, but when you said we'll all know, surprisingly enough,
no idea what you're talking about.
yeah, I didn't.
Well, maybe I need to work on my voices and not. I mean, Mario sounds like a transgender atheist who's running for sheriff. You know?
Yeah, right.
It's a me, Mario. Here to lay down the law, sweethearts.
All right, Chris, you're number 4. Oh, the Pillsbury
Doughboy. Yes.
Oh, hey, why don't you stand up real quick?
He's been a champion of anti-body shaming for a long time. I applaud the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Here, stand up. Let me see your belly.
Stop.
If any of you aren't familiar,
here's the Pillsbury Doughboy.
I'm going more for a Michelin Man right now. You know?
All right. How about my number 4, Count Chocula?
God, that's so pandering, dude. You think that you're going to get more votes in the African American community just for that's weak. It sucks. They see right through you. You should have done an interview with Cardi B instead. We need more credibility.
All right, Sean, you're number 4.
you're going to have to look this one up to get the reference, but the Denver Broncos mascot, John Elway.
Oh, I'm not getting it.
You got to look up their mascot. Look up Miles, the Denver Broncos mascot, and might as well be John Elway.
Because
moving on, why don't you go to your next one since that one sucked and nobody was going to buy it?
My number 3 is so I was sticking with sports team names. They don't, I don't think, have a mascot, but the Long Beach State Dirtbags. The Dirtbags, my number 3.
Anything from California. That works for me. All right, my number 3. I'm going to go with, and I had 3 options that would all fall in this. I will go with Uga, though. I love the live Uga. UGA, the Bulldog for
yeah,
UGA.
gotcha.
I thought George's Bulldog's name was Harry Dog.
Oh, you thought wrong. It's Uga. And I close with that. I actually think maybe even cooler is the Longhorns Bevo or Bevo. I don't know how to say it, so I chose to go with Uga.
We got Harry Dog and Beaver in the same sentence, and nobody's going to joke about that. I guess we'll just let that sit there.
All right, Chris, you're number 3.
Taylor, we're both right in the correction. Uga is the dog. Harry Dog is the big costume of the dog. Okay. And they're both mascots.
That's way too granular for a mascot for me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go with Mickey Mouse. It's the only not confirmed pedophile that works for Disney right now, and I appreciate that.
I thought about Disney as well, and I'm like, I can't give him any credit. So, so Chris, go to your number 2.
Oh, yeah.
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid Man. Yeah.
Kool-Aid Man. All right. My number 2, the Playboy Bunny.
Oh.
I figured I'd get in trouble with my wife today. So
Okay. Well, no, that's tasteful. That's tasteful.
that's what I say.
Yes.
All right. Sean, you're number 2.
Number 2 is Otto the Orange for the Syracuse Orange. They just took a color and were like, orange. We're good.
I was going to make mine too. That was in my honorable mention. I like it.
It's decisive, and people tend to be glad that they chose that. Orange, you're glad that they chose that. It's a second level pun, but okay. Thick panel we got today. God.
All right, Sean.
Oh man, my number 1 is Woo Shock for the Wichita State Shockers.
You just looked up some list.
What is Woo Shock? Is that similar to Concho?
It's like a shock.
Concho's the game where you like the Asian people, they take their fingers like this and they put it up people's butt. Well, clothes, right? It's called Concho. But the Wu-Tang Shockers?
Yes. Wichita State Shockers.
It's like
the shock for wheat.
All right. My number 1. It's all of our mascots. The bald eagle, baby. USA.
Oh, I thought you were saying the name Oliver. We're like not on the same page today. I mean, okay, so this one was an easy decision, known worldwide, Mr. Clean. No personal bias whatsoever, but great mascot. The man is fit. He's a good husband. Helps take care of the house. He's been breaking gender stereotypes for decades.
You're so woke. You're so woke. All right. That's it for Monday, our first Monday podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Again, do me a favor. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, subscribe or follow or whatever. But the big favor, please share it on all your social medias so that we can get the word out and connect with as many of you as possible. And go to notsosilent.com, scroll down to the bottom and connect with us. Put in your email address and we will spam you every single day. All right, that's it. Goodbye.
Spam is code for